Good evening. Welcome to the Town of Southbridge public hearing notice relative to water and/or sewer regulations. In accordance with the provisions of the Southbridge Home Rule Charter, Chapter 8, Section 8-401, Water Regulations, the Town Manager of the Town of Southbridge will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, April 16, 2025 at 5:30 p.m. in the McKinnon Council Chambers, Southbridge Town Hall, 41 Elm Street, Southbridge, Massachusetts. The purpose of this public hearing is to receive any public comment regarding the addition to the Southbridge water regulations of the following section: Southbridge water use restrictions. A copy of the proposed bylaw could be inspected at the town manager's office from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. Thursdays, 8 a.m. through 12 noon on Fridays. Any person interested or wishing to be heard should appear at the time and place designated. Calling this public hearing to order. The notice was published in the Stonebridge Press on the following dates of March 20th, 2025, March 27th, 2025. A copy is here. The purpose of tonight's public hearing is a requirement that has been put upon us by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection relative to our renewal registration statement for verified water withdrawal plans. The Southbridge Public Water Supply is managed by the Southbridge Water Department and is a public water supply. Our registration number of 20927801 out of the river basin, the Quinnebog River. Pursuant to the registration statement that was issued effective April 8th, 2023, set to expire on April 7th, 2033, part of the registration conditions indicated that we must, under non-essential outdoor water use restrictions during times of drought. Pursuant to their notice to the town of Southbridge, it stated beginning as soon as possible, but no later than 24 months after issuance of the registration statement, the registrant shall establish enforceable restrictions limiting non-essential outdoor water use. Such restrictions shall be in place during a drought declaration by the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs for the drought region, county, or watershed where registrants' withdrawals are located, and non-essential outdoor water use shall be restricted in accordance with 310 CMR 36.072C. So upon this, the town was notified by our water operator to begin development of water use regulations and restrictions. Not something the town of Southbridge had wanted to do. Our water supply has an overabundance of water. In fact, during times of some severe drought conditions, we have never been below at least 70% of capacity. So we are being forced by the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection to put these regulations in place. The town of Southbridge has partnered with several other water systems in the Commonwealth, namely the Springfield Water District, along with numerous other water suppliers, to contest the actions of the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. The initial round, we as a group had lost that initial round. An appeal was held on this past Monday in front of 3 judges, and we are awaiting those results. However, because we need to have this done per our registration requirement, we drafted a regulation that complies with their wishes for us to restrict water use so that we could have it on our regulations. It's not something that we want to do. It is simply because of the Mass Department of Environmental Protection's regulations. We are hopeful that based on the appeal, that they'll have some common sense for the larger operators that have abundances of water and see that we should not comply with this regulation. So the regulation has simply said that the town, through the Department of Public Works, is authorized to act as such, that we may declare a state of water supply conservation upon determination that conservation measures are appropriate to ensure an adequate supply of water for drinking and fire protection, to protect the quality and quantity of water in local aquatic habitats such as ponds, rivers, and wetlands. And further shall declare a state of water supply conservation as necessary to ensure compliance with the Water Management Act as enforced by the Massachusetts Drought Task Force. So basically what the state will do is tell us that we're in a certain drought status, similar to area towns. If you go through, you'll see a flashing sign like in Sturbridge. They'll say no outdoor water ban during these hours. We would have to put out a sign saying outdoor water ban. We have put in the regulations a fine structure, and again, this is not something that we want to go out and fine people. However, we had to put in the regulations this fine structure. The restrictions during the water ban, based on a declaration of state of water supply conservation or a state of water supply emergency, shall include one or more of the following restrictions, conditions, or requirements limited non-essential. So this is non-essential use of water by water customers and water users as necessary to control the volume of water pumped each day. The applicable restrictions, conditions, or requirements shall be included in the public notice. So we would post a notice on a variety of different sites, our social media, the town's website, that we have non-essential use. On non-essential outdoor water use days, non-essential outdoor water use is permitted only on the days per week specified in the state of water supply conservation or a state of water supply emergency and public notice thereof. During the state of water supply conservation, non-essential outdoor water use is restricted as necessary to ensure compliance with the Water Management Act, or for a town without a Water Management Act permit to 2 days or fewer per week. Non-essential outdoor water use hours. The non-essential outdoor water use is permitted only during the hours specified in the state of water supply conservation or state of water supply emergency and public notice thereof. At a minimum, non-essential outdoor water use is prohibited during the hours from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Similar to other towns where you see them flash signs, you can use water between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Non-essential outdoor water use method restriction. Non-essential outdoor water use is restricted to a bucket or handheld hose controlled by a nozzle. Non-essential outdoor water use ban. Non-essential outdoor water use is prohibited at all times. Automatic irrigation systems, including sprinklers. The use of automatic irrigation systems is prohibited. For the violations on this notice, each day that a water is used in violation of the restrictions in this article shall constitute a separate violation. Violators will be subject to the following. The first offense, a written warning with simply a list of the rules on the warning. A second offense would be a $50 fine. Third offense, $75. Fourth offense, $150. And any subsequent offense, $250 fine and or possible court action. Again, it's not something that our police department and our authorities are busy enough without going around to ticket water suppliers. Our goal is not to go out and do that. Again, this regulation is going to be on the books effective at the conclusion of this hearing. If we so win the appeal, then, and there's no further action, then we would look to repeal this regulation from our books. If there's any questions, I'll take them. If you just state your name and address.
Good evening. Mike Marchetti, 120 Maria Avenue, Southbridge. Just have a few questions about this new regulation. This is part of the Water Management Act to restrict non-essential outdoor water use during droughts, declared by the Secretary of Energy and Environmental Affairs. Now, there are 3 levels that they listed here. There's level 1, mild drought, non-essential outdoor use restricted to no more than 1 day a week between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. Level 2, significant drought, all non-essential outdoor use banned, except for watering of ornamental and flower gardens, drip irrigation. Level 3, critical drought, all non-essential outdoor uses would be banned. So what level are we at?
Currently, we're at level 1.
Pardon?
Currently, we're at level 1 according to the state.
Okay. I did email Mass DEP last month, and they told me that we are at level 3. So that's changed since then?
It changes based on, yes, it changes based on rainfall, amount of capacity in different watershed areas, the amount of water that's coming from different aquifers. Am I correct in that, Steve? Good? I'm doing a good job? Yes. So the drought level is going to change throughout the year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And non-essential outdoor water use, according to the paperwork that they sent to me, that means the use that is not required, such as for health or safety reasons, including public facilities, splash pads, swimming pools, washing of boats, engines, marine equipment. By permit, license, statute, or regulation, not quite sure what that means. For the production of food, including vegetable gardens and fiber, these are all non-essential uses. For the maintenance of livestock, to meet core functions essential to commercial operations such as nurseries, golf courses. Now, we have a golf course in Southbridge, Cohasset Country Club. Are you going to restrict their water use?
They are not on our water supply, so therefore they have their own water.
Okay, they have their own water.
Correct.
That's
Yep.
what you're saying, okay.
Yep.
So even though there's a drought, it only covers public water, not groundwater or well water?
Our restriction is going to be solely based on our public water supply customers.
Okay. Venues used for special events, professional washing of exterior buildings, parking lots, driveways, irrigation of public parks, recreation fields, schools, irrigation of publicly funded shade trees and lawns. Those are all considered non-essential use, correct?
Under the paperwork, yes.
Okay. And in order to enforce this, how are you going to enforce it? Just by sending out a letter to people, or are you going to meter them, or?
No, we are not going to meter them. There will be no, it would just be visual. So if somebody was out there doing it, again, our enforcement would be to the extent that this regulation is on and the capacity of our local police department to enforce such activities.
And how much water do we send to Charlton every day?
150,000.
So what about Charlton? Are we going to restrict their water use? How are we going to do that?
Our regulations would follow to their system because they're a consecutive system.
So according to Mass DEP, if Charlton receives water from PWS, Public Water System, they would be required to follow the same restrictions. But what about places like Treehouse Brewery, the Amazon warehouse? Is Charlton going to restrict their water use?
Any non-essential use, they would, yes. But Treehouse, if they're using it for manufacturing of their product, you're not restricting that because that's essential for the operations of their building. Non-essential would be them watering their grounds would be non-essential.
And how would you regulate that? They're in Charlton. How would our police department go to Treehouse or Amazon and make sure that they are restricting their use?
We would have to coordinate with the relationship that we have with Town Administrator Golis once we put these restrictions in place to have that enforced by them.
And what about Mass Pike? That's run by the state, correct? Do we provide them with water, correct?
Yeah, domestic water only for their buildings.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's something, if we witness something, I think we would have to take a look at that. But those are all good points that I don't think I've thought of. But thank you for bringing those to my attention on the Mass Pike, because we forget that, this would also follow with Bay Path Regional School because we supply them with water. So, I mean, there's a lot of cooperation that we have to gather from our customers. Correct. And again, we have plenty of water. It's not the fact that we don't want, because the more water they use, it helps bring in revenue to the water supply, and to help keep our rates at a sustainable level. So we like the fact that we have water that we can sell to drive revenue to offset cost. This is purely, I'm not looking to be the enforcer of water use. It's simply because the Mass DEP is telling us that we have to.
So but we would not be watering like McMahon Field or the high school fields. That's not essential, correct?
It would be non-essential, and they would have to do it off hours, not between 9 and 5 or whatever the regulations say. That's correct, yeah.
All right.
Yep.
What if we don't comply with this? What would happen?
They haven't said anything yet. We're just simply because we're required to put something on our books. We're putting it on our books so that when they say, have you, because it's a requirement of our registration, we can say, the town of Southbridge has adopted this regulation. Here it is. We all know how busy our law enforcement police department is, and I don't think I want them to be the water police or any other agency to enforce it. So I think just like anything else, it would be one that if somebody was abusing it and we knew that they were outright abusing it and it was a large water, then we probably have to take action. Somebody that wants to water their lawn at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm not going to have the police department go and say, you can't water your lawn. That's me personally, so.
I guess my question is, what if we didn't put this on the books?
Then we would have a problem with our registration through the Mass DEP. Yeah.
And what would that
Possible
entail?
fines, revocation of our registration, so.
Okay.
And we're hopeful that the appeal goes through. If the appeal goes through, there were a lot of good arguments. I sat in on the appeal. I know Mr. Gregoire sat in on the appeal. There were a lot of good arguments as to why we should have to do this. We have plenty of capacity. We have more than enough, and they're putting us into a category that we shouldn't be in. Like everything with the state, that when they overreach, I believe, this is an overreach by the state, but we're compelled to do it.
Yes, because as I looked into it, I found that although Southbridge has plenty of water, the state looks at the entire central Mass, from Vermont down to Connecticut, that whole area, and they determined that we are in a drought. Even though Southbridge has plenty of water,
Correct.
they don't look at it town by town.
Correct.
And it doesn't make sense to me, but...
Doesn't make sense to us, too, and that was the argument in the appeal.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments?
Maureen Doyle, 771 Lebanon Hill. I just want to make sure, because you said public water, and I have seen in previous years people washing cars. So if you're on a well, you're not held to these restrictions, correct?
Not by us, no.
Okay. Okay, because I personally don't see washing a car as essential.
Yeah.
But
Our regulation states specifically to our water supply customers.
And I just wanted to add, watering the lawn at like 10 a.m. isn't good for the lawn either. It's best to water it at those times, early morning or before 9, and after 5, it's just good for the
Right.
lawn.
I just threw that out as an example.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Questions, comments? It could be, yes. Yeah, you can check. You just state your name and address.
Who's going to be exempted from the water restriction?
Yeah, Steve, you want to go up there?
How you doing? That's a great question. As it was explained to us, the water suppliers, that businesses would be exempted. So if you're doing it for a legal for-profit business, it's exempt, or for food production, it's, as Councilor Marchetti stated, the law is a little bit convoluted the way they wrote it, but it's not supposed to impact business applications. So like you said, a nursery, a pressure washing business is supposed to be exempted from it because that's their source of income. I agree with the confusion and convolution.
We send water off to Charlton and Southbridge, I understand.
There's a few houses.
Just
in
a few
Southbridge.
homes in Sturbridge, yes.
Do they pay the same rate as us?
They do.
Yes.
And how do we monitor how much we're sending? Is it open-ended? If Charlton keeps getting bigger and bigger, okay? Can they take our whole water supply, or is there a restriction preventing how much they can get, a cap?
There is no restriction at this time.
There is a restriction.
Is there?
The intermunicipal agreement between Southbridge and Charlton states they have a maximum withdrawal rate of 500,000 gallons a day.
Okay, and what about Amazon now? Are they part of that? or are
Amazon's
they
part of
separate?
that. The entire town of Charlton, in its entirety, can only take that much water from Southbridge, maximum.
Okay, any questions?
Okay.
Oh. Get a few.
Council Daniel?
First, I'm wondering if Councilor Marquetti could repeat where he got the list of non-essential uses from? What was your source?
I can forward that to you. It's a Mass DEP that he had forwarded to me. I forwarded you the
Great.
Mass DEP regulations.
I appreciate that.
Yep.
At some point, can we make that available to the people at large?
Yep.
Great. All right, I just want to confirm a couple of things. This is only during times of drought, as declared by the state DEP,
As by the Drought Task Force.
by the Drought Task Force.
Yes.
Which is a separate entity from the DEP?
It's DEP is part of it. There are several stakeholders at the state that conference once a month to review all sorts of atmospheric data, reservoir data, groundwater data, and it all compiles, and then they have they come to a consensus what the level is for each county of the state.
Very good. As of right now, we have an abundance of water. It's never been lower than 70%. How much have we got right now?
We're approaching 100%. We have 4 out of 5 reservoirs are spilling over.
Wow.
So think about that. We're close to 100%, but they're forcing us to be in drought level 1.
Correct.
Wow. And in terms of our water and the safety of our water and keeping it pristine, you have a very active and prolific water conservation plan in place, and you're also doing things like proper foresting to maintain the integrity of the water and that sort of thing. We're doing what we need to do and beyond to take care of our water.
Yes.
Perfect. And we are partners with Springfield and other communities in fighting this.
There are 20 communities in a lawsuit class that's refuting this change to the law. Basically, the state law overrode federal drinking water regulations and adopted their own bylaws on systems like ours that are registrants, which means we are the stewards of our water, not state regulations. And they came up with their own set of laws at the state legislature to slap something on top of that to gain some control over systems like ours. And most of this was promulgated, if I can say, that there were several cities in and around Metro Boston that aren't on the MWRA source, so they have their own sources. Some of them that draw off the Charles River and the Essex River, and they weren't being good stewards, and they were overdrafting those rivers. And the River Alliances got together, lobbied the legislature, and made this rule without really considering what it would do to the more rural part of the state that's in great shape.
Of course, the state ends at
So
128.
that's how that got promulgated, which is very unfortunate.
In terms of the various restrictions, is it any one of these or a combination of those that would take place at the same time?
As far as what's listed under each drought
A,
list, you
B,
mean?
C, D, E, yeah, or do you add more in as the severity of the drought worsens?
As the drought level goes up,
Yeah.
as declared by them,
Yep.
by the task force, then yeah, it would go pretty much after level 1. There's almost no outdoor water usage except for a bucket or a drip irrigation or a little canteen on your gardens. Anything above a level 1, it gets pretty severe pretty quick.
Okay. And just a comment and a compliment. I guess I'll do the compliment first. I want to thank Mr. Gorgoff for bringing this to light actually a couple of years ago, it seems, at this point, when it was all first starting to come to fruition. And I believe I was involved in a virtual meeting some point early in the process and discovered that this was a real thing that was happening. And so thank you, Mr. Gargo. I really appreciate your keeping us up on this and helping us out with it. It's a nice job.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just a quick comment. This is obviously a case of state overreach again. I think we've got an excellent water company. I think that they do everything they need to do to keep our water safe, to keep it secure. to keep it pristine. I've been able to go up to the water treatment plant twice and tour it, meet the people that are working there, the laboratory technicians that are working there, as well as the physical plant technicians. I've been able to walk up into the reservoir landmass, for lack of a better term, the area, and actually looked at the reservoirs. We really have a remarkable resource, and it's unfortunate that the state doesn't see fit to let us take care of it, and by sticking their nose in it, it's to our detriment, I believe. So I hope that Mr. Manager and Mr. Gregoire were able to impress upon the judges just what it is, how onerous it is that this is going on. I believe in conserving water, don't get me wrong. I believe in conserving water, but I believe that if we are conserving water and we're taking good care of it at the same time, then perhaps if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So again, thank you, Mr. Gregoire. Thank you, Mr. Manager. That's all I have.
Okay. Mr. Larson, did you have something else?
Yeah, a couple
Just
of
move
questions.
the mic down so
Do
we
we-
can just move the mic down so I can hear you a little bit. Thanks.
How's that? Do we think this is going to be a seasonal thing from May to September?
It's whenever the drought conditions go in.
Yeah, we were just under a level 3 drought all winter long in Worcester County. They just lifted it to level 1. As we all know, it's been very wet lately.
And just a hypothetical, if we do real good at conserving, our rates aren't going to go up, are they?
I can't guarantee this year, but last year we did no 0% rate increase last year. We did not increase rates last year.
No, but I'm just saying that as the water consumption goes down, are we going to try to make up for it somewhere else?
Well, the unfortunate thing is our rates are driven by revenues as well. So the less water you use, the less revenue, but you still have the expenses. So
Well, part of life is the base rate is now higher than a water usage rate.
yeah. So something we'll take a look at. Anything further? Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, seeing no further comment, I thank everybody that came here this evening for this. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact my office, and I'll conclude this public hearing at 6 p.m.
Is this meeting going to be put on the town website for other people?
Yeah, it'll be on YouTube. It's being broadcast live now. It'll be on YouTube.
All right.
Okay?
Yep.
Thank you.